Never seen superstardom, never tasted it, don't know what it's like. I've always seen, opinion, appreciation, acknowledgement, recognition. I need to be with my children for those many number of hours. It may not be a very lengthy amount of time, but it's quality time. There's no greater feeling in the world than as a mom, you're going out there, you're living your dream, and you have your children looking up to you and cheering for you.
Hello everyone, this is Aina and I have the gorgeous Neha Dupia with me today. Welcome to Pinkvilla.
Thank you.
It's really good to have you back. You know, the last time we spoke, you told me about how you came to Bombay with this Air India ticket, having a return flight. There was an Air India slip that you still have.
Yes.
I want to know, what did Neha at that point of time when she came to Bombay, what were her aspirations? What was she thinking?
You know, I usually when I have to make a plan for the future, and that's been a constant with me, I draw a blank. Like, I don't know. And then every day I wake up and I need to start afresh. And I'm not thinking about what needs to be done, what can be done. But that time I had a set goal, a target, saying I'm here for Miss India and I'm going to try my level best to win it. Even within the training program, which is way longer than what it is now, I would always feel that, yes, you know, I'm definitely going to, you know, score somewhere between the top 3 positions. And then sometimes I'd be like, hell no, you've got to like win this, to then being like, everybody's got like, and then I would start like judging my own self, because I would be like, no, there are other girls who are taller, and then there are other girls, you know, whose kind of bodies are different. And then again, I would wake up and say, my plan, my intention is this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. But even now, if you had to ask me what am I doing tomorrow or what am I doing next, kai baar aise hota hai ki lots of actors know that, you know, you're like June 23, I'm like,
I'd be doing this.
I'd be doing this, and I'm like, how do these people know so much? Like, how do the people, how do people think so much in the future? And it's great. I don't have, you know, those many multiple offers that keep me consumed all the time. So I have to create work. I have to constantly hustle. I have to work harder. And B, I feel like just my life changed so much in the past 4 years, between marriage to children, you know, a pandemic. I feel like we're all the sum total now of whatever we've been through in the past 5 years. And for me, those 5 years were a lot to take in.
I have to say, I forgot to congratulate you for actually completing 2 decades in the industry. I mean, it's a really long time, 20 years. Now, when you look back at your journey and these 2 decades that you have, you know, taken risks, made moves, do you give a pat to yourself on your back that, you know, I've made some choices which were really brave. I came here alone, self-made. How do you reflect at your entire journey?
I mean, I don't pat myself enough. Maybe that's a good thing. I'm going to confess, I'm hard on myself. I come from a place where I have so much gratitude for the fact that I have work, I'm having this conversation with you, there are people who are listening, you know, all of that. But there are times where, you know, I need that from someone else. There are times when I need someone else to tell me, and maybe that's where I feel like I've married the right person, who sometimes tells me that, listen, you don't have to feel so bad about something not going your way, because you know, you've in your own way achieved a lot. Never seen superstardom, never tasted it, don't know what it's like. I've always seen you know, opinion, appreciation, acknowledgement, recognition. Now if I look back, the regrets are way lesser than when great things were happening. One of the biggest mistakes that I made was I was constantly comparing myself to other people. And then, you know, suddenly I hit 30 and I think I instantly got cooler, because I'm like, I'm not everyone else. They're not me. People look up to me. I look up to people. Figure out, you know, your own path. Figure out how to do it yourself. Make choices, make mistakes, and, you know, treat it like an adventure. And that's when I realized that comparison is the shortest way to hell. Like, don't compare.
You know, did you ever feel at any point in your life that, you know, it's going to be hard to be relevant with so many new faces and people and, you know, joining the business? Like, and you are still relevant today after 20 years, and not a lot of people have achieved that via, you know, doing non-fiction or via being a host or, you know, influencing parents and mothers by the initiatives that you take. What do you have to say about relevance?
The intention is never to be relevant. So, I mean, the thing about relevance is that you can't run behind it, right? You can't be like, I'm going to do this because I'm meant to be relevant. Yeah. I mean, of course, there's a huge amount of pressure that comes with getting ready and ab reels shoot karo. Like that kind of relevance is something else. And then everybody's doing that and everybody's posting them and, you know, you got to do it and you're going to move with the times and that's what's working right now. But I'm also not like, you know, 21 and 22 where it comes naturally to me. I'm also in a situation where I have to make it work. So, you know, like you have to move ahead with the times. It's tough. And then, you know, there's, when it comes to social media or the largest statistic of social media is that 60% of social media users are under 19. So how do you like, you know, keep up with that audience? Because that's an important audience to keep up with. And how do you keep up with, you know, the makers that you have to work with? And and none of this has got anything to do with, okay, I'm going to start a parenting community because I need an audience. I started a parenting community because I know I have a voice and I want to use my voice. And if something great happens, it's great. And if something comes out of it, and if I think that there is a need to normalize breastfeeding or something similar, I'll do it. If the part of being relevant, if you ask me that question, is actually the hardest. Like, you know, you need an investment of and effort, and even the ones who are relevant are working very hard towards it. It's a tough place to be.
And like you said, you're using the voice in a very productive way. So how do you actually maintain to strike a balance between the personal life that you've had, that because that's also full time, I wouldn't say job, but like it's a duty and love that you have towards your family and your children, and at the same time, like you spoke about, being relevant and constantly being at it and being up to date.
I think it's a lot to take in for me. Like my off days are also not off days. So, you know, when you're going on holiday and you're taking your kids to holiday, you're always constantly like making sure your kids are okay, and then they travel and they come back and they fall ill, and then you want to go back to work, and then it's a lot. But it's great because I think I have there's so much love and equality in my relationship with Angad that between the two of us we managed to balance it out. And I think I said this to you in your interview before, that behind every working woman, there are many working women. So you staff up and you make sure your kids are okay. But, you know, now there are lines I draw. So if I need to be with my children for those many number of hours, it may not be a very lengthy amount of time, but it's quality time that I'm going to give them. So if I miss an entire day with them, then, you know, book time and dinner time and all of that happens with me and through me. And you have to somewhere strike the balance as a parent, because you have to go to work. And at the same time, you want to make sure that everything at home is also looked into and looked after. So it's about striking that fine balance. To say it's hard is an understatement. There are days that I feel like, oh my God, I wish I had 15 extra hours, not one, but 15. And then as soon as your kids are like fast asleep, then there'll be like a call or something saying, your kids are asleep now, can we discuss work, or can we like, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do anything. Like I feel like this, but it's all a part and parcel of life, you know. And I see this in my daughter. She's growing up and she's hitting different milestones and she's figuring it out and she's learning how to be independent. I know my son will, you know, go through the same things, and then, you know, one fine day, boom, they'll be big. Like 20 years, like I felt like I just won the Miss India, and 20 years later, I'm like, and imagine I feel so attached to that crown and to be wearing it again and, you know, doing so much. These are my own children, and I'm just like, oh my God, when did she get so fast? You know, even iPhone has those memories they come up with. But just yesterday she was tiny and now she's big and she's chatty and she's talking.
How did you feel? You recently went in the Miss India stage. Did you get very nostalgic about the entire experience?
I was a bit of a mess. Yeah, I was a bit of a mess. I thought I had it under control. And I thought I had like, okay, I'm going to go up and say all this. And I just got really emotional and I forgot everything I had to say. and but I lived the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, and nothing. Like, the one thing I still remember myself saying is that you need to be your own cheerleader, or your best cheerleader, because you have to have that belief in you. So no matter what I did on stage, I did it because I was actually living that moment. So I cried, and I had my parents, and then I invited my children, and I know that I have a very strict policy of not showing their faces, and I'm going back to that policy. But for that moment, many years from now, I have a feeling one of them is going to ask me, where were we? And telling them that you were fast asleep wasn't going to be a good enough answer. So I wanted them by my side. There's no greater feeling in the world than, as a mom, you're going out there, you're living your dream, and you have your children looking up to you and cheering for you. And that's what I felt that day. And it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a moment where they can go and look back and feel immensely proud about it.
Yeah.
Even the film choices, like in the past few years, you've taken up choices like doing a Thursday or a Last Stories, but you've also taken these brave choices much before, when times, like, it was way ahead of its time.
First Gary Obama I liked a lot, and Mithya I liked a lot,
Right, that as well. And also you have your Chup Chup Kes and Garam Masala that you can keep watching again and again, because it's so entertaining. How do you perceive the industry over the years? How has your kind of perception changed towards it? Because you've seen a whole new revolution.
I think in the early 2000s, or when I joined, it was all kind of everyone was like everyone else. Everyone was sort of in a safe space, operating at a level where there was kind of work trickling down for each other, little less risque. But now industry's opened up, and there's so much more inclusivity when it comes to content, or when it comes to writing, or when it comes to characters. And there was a look for for a female lead, or there was a particular look for a male lead, and it was just different variations of that. And there were big setups, and there were small indie films.
Right.
That's as much as it was. And then everything has opened up in such a big way, with OTT coming across and people being able to talk about subjects they want to, or it's sort of redefined in so many ways. And I feel like we've also seen so much. Now girls come in and they're very prepared, and even the guys, they come in, they're fully prepared, they know what to do. We came in, and then sometimes I look back and there's some serious fashion faux pas as well. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, did that really happen? And then there's I mean, thank God we don't use rollers in our hair anymore. Like, there was a time when we used to do that, hot rollers. And then they would cool off and then go stand. But this is still better than the generation that's kind of lived and worked without phones. We always had cell phones and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was never a problem.
So which point in your life do you consider as a turning point where you, like, now when I think of Neha Dhupia, she's this fierce, independent woman who is multitasking and handling so many things. But there might be a point in your life where you were more docile, more, vulnerable. Which point of life you felt like, okay, you might have felt dejected, picked yourself up, and then turned into this fierce woman? Because I'm sure it must have taken a few years and a lot of experiences.
Oh yeah, I mean, all the time. Like, I've had situations when I've been confirmed for projects, and suddenly I get to know that we're going to South Africa, and later on you get to know that, or wherever else in the world, I'm just giving you a place that the whole unit is there, and you're not shooting for it. So, I've had rejection at that level, like, and I know that I've been replaced without somebody even calling me and telling me, to up to now where, I've been asked to step down from projects because, due to pregnancy, my look would be different. So you face rejection at all levels, like, sometimes at a casting level, sometimes, I saw such a huge high with winning Miss India, and like 4 months into that, I went for Miss Universe and I didn't win. So, you kind of, every day you get more and more, like, you feel the pain a lot more, and then you kind of get more and more used to it. And sometimes now all I do is laugh it off. Like, if somebody calls and says ki nahi ho raha hai, I'll just call my manager and say uska phone aaya tha, wo nahi ho raha hai, move on. Like, it's about what next, as opposed to holding on to that one point and then just grieving about that. But picking yourself up each time is hard. And when I was younger, I was just like, constantly thinking, and initially it would hit me hard. Then I kind of got used to it. And I think it hit me the hardest when I got pregnant for the first time, and then post that I kind of, you know, from movies, not from work, but from movies, I took a little bit of a break, and, you know, I went into a certain amount of postpartum. But then we went into the lockdown and I came back fitter, and I used that to my advantage, and, you know, so every time you have to take 2 steps back to take 4 steps forward. I mean, you can't have a 20-year long career and be like, oh, but this happened and this amazing thing happened and this. Eventually, you're going to be asked to step down from somewhere if you have a great job. Eventually, someone's going to replace you. Eventually, you are going to replace someone else. Some people are going to call you and tell you you're not fit enough for something, but at the same time, people will call you and, you know, give you different offers. And when all else fails, then sit around and make work for yourself. So I produced 5 seasons of a successful podcast, or like, you know, produced a short film, or like right now we're making a documentary that we're producing. So, you know, you constantly do stuff. And the part that you're saying about multitasking, it's just, it's hard. There's no, like I always say, there's no concept of सुपर मॉम. हमको नहीं चाहिए, तुम कर लो हमारा काम. हमको ये सुपर मॉम का या मल्टीटास्किंग एंड डू इट ऑल का नहीं चाहिए. तुम ऐसा करो, ये टाइटल भी रख लो, पर हमसे काम ले लो और कर लो हमारा काम. Like, you know, like one is you expect us to do so much. 2 is we do that, we burn ourselves out, and 3 we end up getting like this tag. We don't want it. You know, what we want is a little bit of help where you can step in and help us, and understand that sometimes, you know, one needs to head back home on time, and sometimes we don't want to answer our phones, and sometimes we just want to be with our children, and sometimes we want to make sure that our children are settled so we can go to work, because there's a huge amount of gratification that you get in being at work, or kind of just looking after yourself, or like yesterday in the morning, I was like, I'm going to start my Monday well and go for a 6-kilometer run. And I was just like, my children will have breakfast, and she usually takes like 40 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to come back in 40 minutes. So my whole thing was time it and run 6 kilometers and come back. So that way I run faster also, which is a good thing.
Right now also you're like 6 more things before 7 o'clock before my kids come back.
Boom.
So that was going on.
You have to go on,
Yeah, and because you said you even started like No Filter Neha and all, what people don't know is the work that goes behind it. Which role do you enjoy the most in terms of like acting, hosting, probably being a reality show judge? Like, what is your most favorite part that you've been lately enjoying?
Acting. Which also means, I just finished 2 films, one short and one feature, but it also means that I want people to do all the work for me, which means that I want to go there, I want to learn my lines, I want to get ready, and I want to just be able to do my job, you know, as opposed to, because maybe at the domestic level or at a personal level, me and Angad are handling so much, and 2 kids is a lot, and you're also raising children. You're not just like saying, okay, अपने आप नहीं पलेंगे, you have to raise them, you have to make them into good human beings. So that's your whole production for the time being. So yeah, I like doing that. And then hosting, I mean, if somebody's producing a great show, I'd love to host it.
Yeah, we want to BFFs again.
Oh yeah. Sure. I mean, if someone's listening, we'd love that. Even I like doing that show. I think we did 2 seasons.
Yeah,
we did 2 seasons. I really enjoyed doing the show. One season I was not even married, and I think by the next season I'd had a baby. So yeah,
I think this
I'd made many BFFs at my personal level also.
Lastly, before we let you go, what I want to know is, in the coming decade, what, after everything that you've achieved, what do you aspire from now?
I think baby steps. I still haven't done like an OTT show, like a mainstream show, and I have had many offers, but I would like to lead from the front. And I think that, you know, having worked for 20 years, and in complete humility, I feel that there is a script out there for me that I can do, and I would love to do. Apart from that, maybe I enjoy production, but I'm not like, but it's a very small level and tiny dots. So maybe something larger that I can call my own would be nice professionally. In my personal life that I'm in, you know, in the motherhood space, to kind of divulge a little bit into say a business model around parenting would be interesting. So professionally, like, these things are of interest to me right now.
Right.
Everything can change, anything can change. I could wake up one day and get a great call that keep me consumed for a long time. So I mean, but never want to go too far away from my children. Never want to leave them alone for very long. Never want to turn down a great opportunity, because I know that as kids they'll be proud of their mama. So it's always this fine balance that I'll have to strike.
Right.
And I'm hoping, and I'm working towards that every day. As long as I'm working, it's all good. Yeah.
So we hope to see you soon in
Absolutely.
some really cool projects.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Lovely talking to you.
Same here.
If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to Pinkvilla.